Network.
Justin Crosley here with the Brewing Network. We've been invited out to the Gordon Biersch Brewery in San Jose for an exclusive with Dan Gordon. Apparently he's created an all-new beer that he wants to tell the world about. Now, Dan's always the creative type. I get the feeling, though, that this is something new and creative from even the Gordon Biersch Brewery. You know, he's typically done the German-style lagers, and that's what he's become known for. I've gotten the feeling that this is something completely new. Dan, thanks for this exclusive interview with the Brewing Network. And are the rumors true that you're following the recent trend in beer and you've created an entirely new beer style that's going to take the craft beer world by storm?
Yes, indeed.
All right, well, let's talk about this new beer. I think you've called it Hoppotamus Maximus. I'd like a little insight into it, and I'm dying to try it.
As are we all. I'm the brewer, and I haven't even tasted it, as there's only one bottle of it on Earth, and it really won't have finished aging for another 10 years. It's really my answer to the request, or actually demand, of the craft beer bars around the country, even the world, that want to be the first, if not the only place to feature those hard-to-get beers. We strive to produce just that, taking the attitude that it should be so exclusive that no one will actually get to buy or taste it. I will be paraded around in a country in a flip-top 6-ounce bottle for all the country to smell.
Fascinating and unique approach. I think that should be commended by beer lovers. Well, tell us a little more about the style.
Well, it's a noble imperial quintuple hopped, dry barrel-aged, allergy-style Albanian Rheinbile IPA.
Allergy style.
Yes, allergy is something new to the brewing world, whereby we use 18 ale yeasts, 6 lager yeasts, and it's lightly infected with 3 bacteria. It's a twist on spontaneous fermentation, but in a completely unspontaneous way. We precisely count the colonies before pitching, then ferment it at 4 different temperatures, optimizing the activity of each individual yeast strain, and age at rotating 10-day intervals at 105 degrees Fahrenheit and down to -20. One of the bacteria strains we even developed in a cooperative basis with the CDC.
Center for Disease Control.
Yes.
Wow, that's resourceful. All right, well, how about the malt bill?
Well, Justin, this beer is really all about the hops, so we opted out.
Opted out.
Yeah, by that I mean we didn't use any malt, as we felt it would invade the hop character.
Understandable. All right, well then tell me a little bit about the IBUs in this beer.
Well, I wish I could tell you, but the beer is so bitter it really cannot be measured. And as far as how we hop this beer is fascinating. It's a continuously hopped beer, first of its kind actually. The hops take up nearly all of the brew kettle and fermenter, so that dry hopping is really dry and corresponds to the hippo-sized quantities. We also add hops during filtration and bottling, such that there really isn't much liquid in the bottle at all. As far as the hop varietals, we've used every vintage and type, well over 180 and still counting, that have been harvested over the last 20 years.
Amazing. Aged hops and lots of them. I like it. Well, what about this reference to Rheinbile?
Well, during my stint of brewing education at Weihenstephan, I was frustrated that the Reinheitsgebot of 1516 overruled the use of cow bile as a bittering agent. In spite of my inclination and desire to source real cow bile, this beer is a reasonable facsimile of what I think it would have tasted like if authentic Albanian cow bile had been used.
That's incredible. Well, you mentioned earlier barrel aging, so I assume oak barrels.
Well, pretty obvious by the name Maximus that we opted for pine as a tribute to the Greek production of Ricino wine. We even threw in some extra sap to round out the flavor and slow down the process of the beer aggressively, eating through the barrels and leaking all over the floor.
Wow. Well, I guess all that's left then is the recommended glassware and serving temperature?
Well, Justin, if this beer were actually ever served, we would recommend using an eyedropper directly on the back of the tongue to prevent any lasting acid burn. And as far as recommended temperature, we think lukewarm would be best.
Okay. Well, thanks for the exclusive interview, Dan. Tune in next week when we'll be talking about the lightest beer ever brewed with Dan Gordon.